The purpose of this video is to go over the process of generating the chart of accounts and trial balance XMLs to satisfy the SAT's request for the electronic accounting reports. Okay, so to generate these two reports, there are basically two phases we need to execute on a monthly basis. So phase one, or first category of steps, is to upload or maintain the account group code mappings, and phase two is generating the reports themselves, the XML files themselves. So to maintain or upload the account group code mapping, we have set up the system with a few tools you can use. The first two tools to consider are two report wizard reports that allow us to validate our mappings and to verify that we have no missing mappings. The second set of tools that we use, or the second tool we use, is the element maintenance screen, the IDEAS SAT element, which allows us to upload or maintain account group code mappings. So as you know, in the SAT has requested that we map our corporate chart of accounts to the account group codes that they have provided. Okay, so step one in this first part is we want to see what mappings have been set up. So to do that, we go to Report Wizard, and then as you can see, Report Wizard is available inside of the General Ledger module. After I click on the Report Wizard icon, I can go to the spyglass and I can see the two reports that have been created. So one of these reports is the IDEAS SAT report. The IDEAS SAT report that I just selected basically lists all the mappings that have been uploaded. So I'm going to click on Preview, and the report is generated on screen. Since this report has been designed to be used in Excel, let's export it to Excel. So I have exported the report to Excel, and now I can go and validate the data there. So here we have it. We have the corporate account, which is the first 4 digits, then the sub-account, which is the second 2 digits, the mapping, the nature, the type, and the description. Okay, so in this case, for this setup, the account group code mapping is basically determined by the account and the sub-account. That's why when we do the mapping, we have to provide the account and the sub-account. So for example, you look here at account 1044, account 1044 appears twice, and it has different account group mapping. So depending on the sub-account, if it's DT or IM, we have different account group codes. So that's why the mapping is defined for the account and sub-account combination. Okay, so there we validated that basically the mapping is complete. Now suppose that there might be a mapping that's missing, right? So bear with me a moment. I'm going to delete an example of a mapping so that we can see the report in action. Very quickly here, I'm just going to delete a mapping. So I'll delete this account. Okay. So basically, I have checked my mappings and I think that everything's fine, but I want to be sure that everything has been mapped, everything that has had trial balance activity. So I'm going to generate my mapeos faltantes report. And here it's telling me account 1003, sub-account 00 has not been mapped. So if that's the case, I have to go in, go to element maintenance, go to the Mapeo SAT element in general ledger, enter the code for the account and the sub-account, and then provide, always select detail in this case, provide the type, if it's asset, liability, owner's equity, the balance, and the account group code mapping, so let's say 102.01, and then save changes. At this point, I have uploaded or maintained my account group code mappings, and everything's fine. So if that's done, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go to my SSRS server, and when I go there, I will see multiple files, but the ones I'm going to use to generate the XML output there are the BSD chart of accounts and the BSD trial balance files. We will not use the XSLTs, we'll just use the ones that do not have the extension, right? So first I'm going to generate my chart of accounts. So I click there, and here I have to provide the parameters. So entity is entity 2, period is period 12 in this example, segment is 16. And why segment 16? Segment is 16 because if I go to my segments definition and I go to my general ledger, 16 is my Mexican total for the current year, right? So if I wanted to see prior year, I would select my prior year for Mexican total, but in this example I'm selecting my current year. So after I do that, well, before that, if I want my prior year in case we need that, it's really important to know the number for prior year. So prior year for Mexican total is 26. So if I wanted to see prior year, I would enter 26. But since I'm going to look for the current year, I'm going to use 16. So in my report, I'll enter 16, then I'll provide my RFC. So my RFC is my Mexican tax ID. I'm just going to copy an example to generate the file. So I'll enter my RFC and then the accounting period. In this example, I'll use 2016. After that, I'll click on View Report. And there it is. The report is generated on screen. I can also use this report to validate my mappings. And if everything's okay, then I'll click here where it says Export drop-down menu, and I'll click on XML file with report data. So I'll click there, and to the bottom, the system prompts me to save this. I'll save as and put it in a location I can find it easily. So I'll save there, and now I have my chart of accounts XML. Now I'm not done yet because I need to name this appropriately. So the correct naming for this is my RFC. So in this example, it would be all this number over here, this alphanumeric code, followed by my accounting year, followed by my period, so period 12, and then CT for chart of accounts. So the file is ready. If I want to upload it to the SAT website, I need to zip it. Otherwise, I'll leave it as is because first I want to validate that it is correct. So to validate, I'll go to the validator in the SAT's web page. So I'll select document, select the type of file, so contabilidad electrónica, and then click on validate. And there it is. The file is successfully validated and it's ready for being submitted to the SAT website. Now that's the chart of accounts. What about the trial balance? What I would do for the trial balance would go back to my reports, access the BSD trial balance report, and here I'll do the same process. Provide the entity element, which is 2, the period, which is 12, segment, which is 16, RFC. So remember, the RFC has to be valid. You know your RFC as it is your tax ID for your company. And then I'm just using this example. After the RFC, I provide the year, 2016, and then the type of delivery. So in this case, it's new. So if it's new, I do not need to provide a modification date. If it's a change, I do need to provide the date. So since it's new, I'm just going to generate the report as it is. And there I have it. I can see it on screen. Given that, I'll save this output as XML, save it on the desktop. And now here I have it. That's the BSD trial balance. Now I have to rename it. So once again, when I rename it, it's my RFC code followed by the year, followed by the period, followed by CN. It's CN if this is a new delivery. I mean BN. BN. It's BN if it's new delivery. If it's a change, it would be BC, right? So since I selected N, if you remember here, then the naming must be BN. If it were change, the naming would be BC, right? So the file is now available. I'm going to go to the validator, select it, and validate. And there it is. The file has been validated, and now it can be delivered to the SAT. So that is it. It's a fairly straightforward process. So please go ahead and test it and let me know the outcome.